This year, Meta is spending between $130 and $145 billion on artificial intelligence, not over a decade. This year. That is more than Amazon spent building the entire AWS empire, more than the GDP of entire nations, the largest single-year strategic bet in corporate history. And if you ask Mark Zuckerberg what he is actually building with that money, the answer changes depending on which week you catch him. Some weeks, it is AI designed to make your Instagram feed impossible to put down and your ads impossible to ignore. Some weeks, it is a cloud computing business to compete with Google and Amazon. Some weeks, it is artificial superintelligence, an entity smarter than every human on Earth combined. Most companies making a bet this size have one clear answer. Zuckerberg is running 3 completely different bets at the same time. And the most surprising thing about that is that it might actually be the smartest thing he has ever done. The ghosts of failures past to understand why Zuckerberg is making this bet and why the stakes feel so personal. You need to go back to the last time the world wrote him off. In 2021, he gave us the metaverse. He changed the company name, committed $40 billion to Reality Labs, and showcased a virtual world so unconvincing that the demos became internet jokes. The market responded brutally. Meta's stock lost 75% of its value. The narrative was set. Zuckerberg had lost the plot, a legacy founder chasing a science fiction fantasy while his company crumbled around him. Then came the second humiliation. In April 2025, Meta launched Llama 4. It was supposed to be his redemption arc. Developers were unimpressed. Performance didn't match the claims. Then, Yann LeCun, Meta's own chief AI scientist and one of the most respected names in the field, told the Financial Times that the company had fudged some of the benchmark results. The flagship behemoth model was quietly delayed indefinitely. 2 industries, 2 massive bets, 2 public humiliations. So what do you do when you've been wrong twice and you have $200 billion in annual revenue and 3.6 billion daily users and something left to prove? You don't just double down. You make 3 bets at once. Bet 1 is the hidden engine, and it is already working. While the world was waiting for Meta's chatbot, Meta was rebuilding something more valuable, the AI underneath every ad on Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. In 2025, they deployed a model called Lattice that consolidated their entire ad system. 12% improvement in ad quality, $60 billion in annualized revenue from AI-powered ad solutions alone, not from selling AI, from using it to make the advertising machine significantly more valuable than it was before. First quarter 2026 revenue grew 33%. Second quarter 2026 hit $60.8 billion, up 28% year over year. Ad impressions up 14%. Average price per ad up 12%. Meta didn't build a money printer. It taught its existing money printer to learn. That alone would justify the investment. But Zuckerberg isn't stopping there, which raises the question, if the ad business is already working, why does he need a second bet? Bet 2 is the one that sent Wall Street into a frenzy. On July 1st, 2026, Bloomberg reported that Meta was building a cloud computing business called Meta Compute to sell surplus AI infrastructure to external customers, directly competing with AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. In a single trading session, Meta added roughly $125 billion in market capitalization. The market had been punishing Meta's stock all year for spending between $130 and $145 billion on infrastructure with no obvious external way to make money from it. Meta Compute answered that question. Those data centers aren't just a cost, they are a potential revenue engine. The scale is staggering. Meta expects to reach 7 gigawatts of computing capacity by the end of 2026, doubling to 14 gigawatts by 2027. 1 gigawatt powers roughly 800,000 homes. Meta is building the equivalent of a small country's power grid specifically to run AI. But Meta Compute has no launch date, no pricing, no product catalog, no enterprise relationships. It is a plan, not yet a business, which makes the third bet even more puzzling. If the ad business is working and the cloud business is being built, why is Zuckerberg also spending billions chasing something that might not exist for a decade? Bet 3 is the one that is hardest to evaluate. In June 2025, Zuckerberg created Meta Superintelligence Labs. He hired Alexander Wang, the CEO of Scale AI, for $14 billion to run it. He offered signing bonuses of up to $100 million to poach researchers from OpenAI and Anthropic. He is building a data center in Louisiana with a footprint the size of Manhattan, and he has said publicly that his goal is artificial superintelligence, AI smarter than every human on Earth at every task. Whether that is a genuine scientific mission, an aggressive talent recruitment strategy, or a story designed to justify the infrastructure spending to investors is genuinely unclear. Even inside Meta, multiple reports describe uncertainty about whether the company can move at the pace Zuckerberg demands. The three bets are real. The question is which one is actually the primary bet. The power of not choosing here is the insight that changes how you read all three bets. Every other major company in AI is running one primary bet with real consequences if it fails. OpenAI has to reach AGI before the cash runs out. If it doesn't, the math breaks. Google has to protect its search revenue while building cloud. If search margin compresses too fast, everything else loses its funding engine. Anthropic is betting that enterprise trust compounds faster than the model gap closes. If it doesn't, the moat isn't permanent. Meta is the only company that can fail at two of its three bets and still be one of the most profitable companies on Earth. If Meta Compute never becomes a real cloud business, the ads still run. If superintelligence remains out of reach, the cloud revenue grows anyway. If the ad business faces regulatory headwinds, the infrastructure bets provide a hedge. 3.6 billion daily users give it distribution no startup can replicate. And unlike Google, Meta has no existing cloud business to cannibalize. That is not recklessness, that is optionality. The ability to be wrong until you are finally right. And only a company generating $200 billion a year in advertising revenue can afford to play that game. But the risk is real and worth naming. Meta has never sold to enterprise customers. It has never built a cloud ecosystem. Meta Compute is a plan, not a product. And Zuckerberg himself has told employees the internal pace is too slow. When you are running 3 simultaneous moonshots, slow is a dangerous word. The longest fuse Zuckerberg doesn't need to know which bet wins. He just needs to stay in the room until one of them does. After the metaverse, after Llama 4, after every analyst who spent 2 years writing him off, a man with $145 billion and something left to prove is a difficult person to bet against. Not the smartest bet in the AI race, not the most focused, the most optionality, and right now, that might be worth more than anything else.